Just wanted to say thank you so very much for joining us, to our guest. Thank you to the students who have logged in. We had a little bit of fun with the chat. The chat is now officially off. So all of your messages come to all the adults. Yay. So have a little bit of fun, definitely, but definitely we won't go through all the rules because, we heard them before, so they are pretty easy. Respect the space. Respect the people the individuals who've taken some time out of their very busy day to come and just share a little bit of their insights and knowledge with us. And most importantly, do as much as you can to make sure that you get something of value out of this. Myself, Dahaji, all of our guests have all been where you have been at some point. And so we do appreciate them spending a little bit of time to come and just share what they've learned between when they were your age and what they know now. And I promise you, a lot happens very quickly. Before you know it, you're no longer 17, you're now 40. So with no further ado, I want to introduce our amazing guest today. We're going to be discussing the topic of, is it an idea or an opportunity? We will start with the ladies. One of my favorite people that I know that works with me. This is no shade to anybody else that I know that works with me, Miss Nakeia Jones. Please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and fun fact about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Nakeia Jones. Outside of owning It's Blackademic Trivia, I'm actually a program manager for NFTE in Baltimore and DC, which is why I'm one of Daniel's favorite people. And a fun fact about myself, more or less about my family, through research, I've been able to track my family back to 1790 in the US, which is really cool to always be able to kind of share facts with my family and sometimes things they don't know, including the eldest people in my family. So that's a fun fact about me. I do genealogy research in my free time.
Wow, I did not know that. Well then, welcome to today's event. Miss Taj McGill, you're up next. Who you are, what you do, fun fact about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Ready to see what we all can learn from each other this morning. My name is Taj McGill. I am the president and founder of South Florida Fashion Academy, which is a program for teen girls and now newly introducing boys as well that are interested in entrepreneurship, fashion, and beauty. Fun fact about me, I have a daughter that is a part of the entrepreneurship course that you all are taking, but I won't tell you who.
Don't want to sway the judges or anything. I see you. And last but not least, the gentleman in the group today, Mr. Thomas Knox.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas Knox. I'm actually originally from New York, and I live in Philadelphia now. I am the owner of Be Great Bow Ties, which is a Scrabble bow tie company. Where what we do is we make bow ties that are unique to your style. It can be Scrabble, it can be artist work similar to what I have on now, and it's all about really unique design. I'm also the owner of Date While You Wait, which is a connection platform that I created to give people the opportunity to connect in unique ways, and I'm going to go deeper into that hopefully throughout this conversation. Fun fact about me, I would say I'm very, very close friends or best friends with the inventor of Connect 4. He's a good friend of mine.
the game where you drop the pieces in?
The game that you drop the pieces, yep. Connect
Tic-tac-toe on steroids. I love it. So welcome to you all. First and foremost, just want to say, as always, thank you very much. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us, and we do appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about, is it an opportunity or is it an idea? And a lot of the times people think that just because you have a great idea, it translates into a great business opportunity. So we're kind of going to dig into that a little bit. I do want to ask a little bit about how you got here. Two questions that I love to ask. What were your favorite and least favorite subjects in high school? And where you are now, did you ever think that this is where you would be when you were 16, 17, or 18? Taj, you're up first.
Oh my goodness. The first question was
Favorite and favorite subjects in high school.
So my favorite subject was world history. My least favorite was math. Did I think at 16 or 17? Absolutely not. I did not know. I knew I loved fashion. That was just a natural thing for me. I come from a long lineage of individuals that love fashion, who are very stylish, but I never would have imagined.
Thomas.
Yeah, so for me, I was definitely really into math. Math was definitely my favorite subject. And I would say my least favorite subject would probably be English. I've always, normally most people that like math, they don't really feel English, which is kind of funny, and vice versa. And then the second, I guess your second question was, when I was 16, 17, 18, did I see myself being in this position? And the answer would be absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. My goal was to just do what I needed to do to get out of high school and focus on getting to college. I didn't know that or had any idea or inkling that I would be in the position that I am now.
Awesome. Nakeia, you get a chance to go ahead and share your journey to amazingness with us as well.
My favorite subject in high school was African American history. Go figure, based on. And my least favorite subject was chemistry. I just couldn't get with the numbers and the letters mixing together on the table. And so that was my least favorite subject. In high school, I think I knew I wanted to do something that impacted other people. I just wasn't sure what that looked like at the time. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
All right. So talk to us a little bit, Nakeia. How do you define an idea? How do you define an opportunity? And what do you think is the difference between the two?
Sure. So a good example, I think, of opportunity versus an idea is a Shark Tank video. There's a guy who is pitching Bluetooth that has to be surgically inserted through your ear, right? So we all use Bluetooth every day, right? It's something that we have to use, but having it surgically inserted, and he's here, he's standing, he's pitching in front of all these sharks. He really believes in his idea, right? Because an opportunity is not surgically inserting a Bluetooth in someone's ear that has to be charged at night, where you have to sleep with something in it, and then once you have to, get an update, you have to get something newly surgically injured, right? A new surgery. So to me, that's a perfect example of having an idea, but that might not actually be an opportunity to move forward. So with my business, it came as an idea. I was headed to lots of trivia nights with friends who'd be in restaurants, and there'd be people doing it. But the questions weren't always geared to things that we knew. And so at first it just came like, okay, maybe we should do something that's more geared towards Black history and Black culture. I live in Baltimore. There's a large population of African Americans here, but these events weren't really geared towards us. So taking that idea of changing it, testing it to see if it was an opportunity, just asking people if it's something that they would attend. I got a lot of Black people don't like trivia at first, but what we found was that that's not actually true. The trivia just hadn't been geared towards their interest in things that they know. And so I was able to kind of run with that feedback that I was getting from people and turn that idea that I had into the opportunity now. And we're getting ready to, we're in the process of planning our 2021 summer tour, where we're going to be going to cities around the country and, doing our pop-up trivia thing. So it definitely has turned. But to me, it's just weighing, are people interested in it? Can you monetize it? And will it be profitable, right? Because if it's not profitable, it just ends up being a hobby.
Now, so that was what you just said was critical, right? Because I know Ms. Austin touched on it. It's not just enough to make money, you have to make a profit. And a lot of the times that is not necessarily considered when looking at a business opportunity. Thomas, How about you? Do you have any insights that you wanted to add to what Nakeia was saying? And also talk a little bit about how your idea turned into an opportunity and turned into a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nakeia hit it right on the head. I think the Shark Tank reference is spot on. You can find out a ton of information and see how that's definitely a show you can utilize to get information on how to differentiate opportunity versus an idea. For me, it's very similar. So when I started my company, and I'll talk more so about Date While You Wait, it was just an idea. I just wanted to connect with people in public spaces. So, what I did is I got a table and 2 chairs, and I set up in subway systems and played board games with people. And it was just something fun that I did. I had no inkling it would turn into a business. And how the opportunities came is after it started to pick up, it ended up being picked up by, the New York Times, CNN, Huffington Post, and all these different organizations that wanted to know more about connections. And I realized that there was an opportunity for me to develop a business around creating connections. So I started doing events. I started doing speaking engagements. I started creating ways for people to connect that wasn't specifically just sitting in the subway, but allowing them to do it, at a venue. So I think understanding that an idea is kind of the starting point and figuring out, or trying something out, and based on you trying that idea and doing it, it can lead to opportunities.
It's crazy. Now that you said that, I just realized I've seen your video media of how you kind of started your company. And I want to say it was a Huffington Post write-up and feature about just the concept of literally setting up a table, 2 chairs, and a board game and playing games with people while they were waiting for the subway in New York, which is crazy to think that that became a business. But it just goes to show that a great idea and a great opportunity can actually lead to something sustainable and very viable. Taj.
Yes, I do think that an ideal and opportunity, like you said, can lead to something amazing. You can monetize off both. I like to think of opportunity having a little bit to do with purpose as well. An ideal may be something that you set around, like the previous guest said, and you thought about, you just wanted to do something, etc. For me, opportunity was it's also a plan out source. Like, you really plan it out, you have the logistics together, etc. My company started as an opportunity for me to create a program that I needed as a teen. The program was more so geared towards, like I said, teen girls that wanted to enter into the industry. I didn't know what that looked like as a teenager. So ultimately I created what I needed. And also, to piggyback on the ideal, I was like, okay, so what can I provide to these young girls as far as fashion, beauty, self-care, self-esteem, and all of these great things. So in a nutshell, that's how I started. It was an opportunity and I went forward, and I'm so happy I did, because it's definitely tied to my purpose. When I look back now, when I was 16 and 17 years old, I think everything that I sort of went through, my thought process, different jobs that I had, I think it was all in preparation for the opportunity to develop a program such as South Florida Fashion Academy.
That is awesome. And you said something critical that I wanted both of our other 2 guests to kind of weigh in on. The thought of tying an idea and an opportunity to your purpose. So Nakeia, do you feel that purpose plays an important role in fleshing out an idea and an opportunity? You're on mute.
Sorry, my emails were going off. I think purpose is definitely important because it will fuel your passion for working a little harder or being up a little longer. You may find yourself, doing marketing on social media until 2 and 3 in the morning, right? Because there is purpose behind that. And that just drives you to want to work a little harder than you may do at a job, that you're just working for someone else. So I agree with Taj. I think that tying your purpose into it is very important.
And Thomas, I mean, you're a long way away from just meeting up with strangers at the subway, which is an amazing journey in and of itself. But how do you feel purpose plays a role in your journey?
Yeah, it's exactly what both the other guests said. In addition to that, I think looking at there's an author, Simon Sinek. He talks about understanding your why, right? Understanding why you do something, and he has a whole concept around what he calls the golden circle, where you have your what, your how, and your why. And a lot of companies, they can answer what their what is, they can answer their how, but they can't answer their why. And I think for myself, I knew what my why was before I knew what my what was and my how was. I knew that I wanted, like for me, I wanted to create connections. The reason why I wanted to create connections because I felt like people needed it. People yearned for that. It was relatable. So I think purpose absolutely plays a huge part in it, but also really understanding your why and why you're doing it.
That's huge, right? Because when we were doing training for our teachers last summer, we actually spoke about the golden circle. Like we literally took like an hour, nearly 2 hours, just talking about starting with why, the importance of why, as well as the golden circle. When we talk about, just moving along, I guess, transitioning, when we talk about looking at idea, opportunity, how does a budding startup, right? Because every time you have an idea, you're like, I don't want to share my idea with somebody because they might steal my idea. So how does a startup, a budding startup, share their idea with their potential market to see if there is a fit for their concept? Taj, can you share a little bit about, your discovery and your journey with that?
So when I originally started, I knew coming into the industry what it looked like for a Black lady, a Black woman. So I knew that I had to go in running. So I created a business originally for makeup artists, hairstylists, designers, etc. I knew I always wanted to essentially be my own boss and create my own lane and not really answer to anyone if I could. So I started having small fashion shows just to test the market, to get myself out there. I would have networking events. I'm very big on networking as well, and I think networking is to a startup and also a vet in any industry. You need to formulate those relationships, and those relationships are still what I rely on to this day to bring my company to newer heights. So I would test the market and just really be known as one person. I know you may see some people doing a lot of different things, but I'm a believer in mastering one thing and perfecting that. So I wanted to be known as this person, and you have to create in your mind, who is it that you want to be? Who is it that you want to be known as? And what do you want to be known for doing? And everything that doesn't look like that, then you get rid of that and concentrate on, like Thomas said, your why and what are you doing it for, and what does, who do you want to be known as? So I would have like a lot of fashion shows. I would have a lot of fashion events, and that's how I pretty much test the market. Just posting. Social media wasn't as big in 2009 as it is now, but just posting and really just relying on people who are just as creative as you, because that you're going to find that means a lot. Even in entrepreneurship, you're going to want to create with other entrepreneurs because we just talk a different language than others.
That is a true statement, Nakeia. How do you counsel young people when they're like, I don't want to tell people my idea because they might take it, but they still need to know whether or not there's a market for what they're looking to do?
Yeah, so a lot of the times we're worried about people taking our ideas, but what it comes down to is not everybody is going to implement it the way you do. Not a lot of people are going to invest the time and the research it takes to even get to where you feel that you have an idea that's worth sharing, right? So you have to kind of get it out there because you never know who you're talking to and how they can help, advance where you're going or the next step in your process. So a lot of the times I'm saying, be very careful with what you're sharing, and you don't have to share all the inner workings, right? But have your 60-second pitch together and ready so that they know exactly what's going on, how they can support you if that's what you're looking for. If mentorship is what you're looking for, financing, there's always people who want to help, right? And it's not always about stealing the idea. And I get where that comes from, because I'm definitely very secretive on some of the things that I do before I'm ready. But that's also knowing your MVP. And I'm sure they'll get to that portion of NFTE, of your minimum viable product. Like, what is that? Work on that, perfect that, and then move forward. And so, like, even me, like, I still consider It's Blackademic a very new startup. We haven't been around that long, but trying that MVP, this didn't work. So now let's pivot and persevere to the next one. And then before you know it, you're secure because what you're doing is viable and it's something that people want, and others won't be able to duplicate it.
Awesome. Thomas, man, there are 1,000,001 dating apps. There are 1,000,001 ways to meet somebody, from bumping into them in Publix. Well, New York doesn't have Publix, but we do down here. So how did you kind of share your idea and the concept when you were kind of going from idea to opportunity to viable business?
Yeah, so it's a very, very good question, because when I started doing Date While You Wait, it wasn't like I didn't know it was going to be a business. I didn't know I was going to turn it into anything. So what was happening is that a lot of people were projecting on me what it should be. It should be the dating thing. You should turn it into that, into this. And then in my mind, I really, really wanted to focus on creating human connection. I didn't want it to be specifically focused on creating a dating platform. So what I did is very similar to what Nakeia and Taj was saying, what I did is I shared my idea with people that I knew would give me insight in specific points or specific parts on how I can develop it. So, I wouldn't just tell, the average Joe. There were certain people in my community that I went to that either had business success, because Date While You Wait has never been done before. No one can really tell me how to create it, but they can also give me insight on direction, on what are some things that they may have done, some learning experiences that they've had in their careers. So that's what I did. Even with, like I said, meeting and being friends with the inventor of Connect 4, he's one of my mentors. He's someone that I went to and had deeper conversations with, and numerous dinners about how we can turn this into something that's more than just me sitting in the subway. So I would definitely say be mindful of who you share your thought with, and your idea with, and hopefully it's someone in your community that you believe in, someone you trust. And just like I said, Taj, and what Nakeia said, you got to put it out there. You can't, you can hold back, but the longer you hold back, the longer you're missing out on learning opportunities. And I think learning opportunities are big when developing any type of idea or opportunity.
Awesome. Now, something that Taj said, and it just happened to kind of lead into the next question, which is, do you suggest that a budding startup have more than one idea / opportunity, or to focus on one specific one? So I think I know what Taj is going to say, but I'm going to let you kind of open up to that question.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Thomas. Go.
Oh no, I think you said you can let me open up, but I can wait. Go ahead, Taj. Ladies first. Ain't no rush.
I just go ahead, Thomas. I want to hear what you say.
I know, so I agree. I think building out anything you do needs it. For a long time, I worked for Apple. Before I started doing Date While You Wait, I worked for Apple for 7 years. And at my time there, one thing that I learned is Apple built out an ecosystem of being really good at selling computers before they went into selling iPhones, before they went into selling iPads, before they went into selling headphones and so on. So I think being really good in developing what your core product is or your core competencies are first, and creating an ecosystem to help you build that out. So for myself, with my bow tie company, for instance, we started out with just Scrabble bow ties, and then we transitioned into being able to design on bow ties, and we're looking to transition into creating cufflinks. So there's a time and place for that. You want to build it out, but we want to be really good and be known for what we're good at first before we start putting out other types of products. So I definitely agree with what Taj said.
Taj, I will allow you to kind of also give your feedback and insight on that.
Yes, so my stance is definitely you have to create a layout and perfect one craft. A lot of times I've met, I don't know if Nakeia and Thomas can agree, you meet someone and they're like always just trying different things. Every time you look around, they're from one thing to the next, and it's hard for you really to even support them because you don't really know what they do. And when you start learning about one thing, they're off to the next, and it's just so confusing. It's really hard for you to really give that support. So I think you really have to start off with one thing and you know, do the groundwork. Is it something I can monetize off of? Do I really like it? Does it align with what I want to be? And these kind of questions are a little mature, maybe for your age group, but maybe not. But I think you're off to a great start by even attending this camp and really learning about entrepreneurship and business and so forth. And you'll find creating a village of individuals who also have the same thought process as you, that's gonna be vital as well. Writing down your ideals. So you really have to create a layout. You really have to perfect one thing before you go and move to the next. And I think I'm just a purpose girl. If it aligns with what you're supposed to be doing, who you are, who you're intended to be in this world, and what you're intended on giving and projecting out to others, everything you'll see eventually line up. Your journey will take you down the right path, and you'll ultimately be where you need to be.
Nakeia, I know you have multiple irons in the fire. So what's your insight?
No, I totally agree with that. Is work on whatever it is that you're doing. However, be flexible within that model, right? Like, be comfortable with, okay, maybe this aspect that I really designed, I thought really worked well, isn't working well too much. It doesn't have to change the entire idea of what you're doing, but be comfortable with pivoting that one thing so that you're still successful. Because one of the worst things you can do is really stick to a idea hardcore to find out that it's not working, right? But you were just so adamant on sticking to it, and now you've wasted time, you've wasted money, you've wasted energy, and when you could have changed maybe one small thing. And I think that really goes back to Thomas's point of having people around you who will give you good feedback that you can listen to, not people who are here trying to change your idea or your mission, but people who can kind of give you that constructive feedback to help you tweak it so that you're working with an idea and an opportunity that really works for your market as well as your purpose.
Awesome. Now, we spoke about purpose. It keeps coming back. And there was something Taj had said a few minutes ago that I really kind of wanted to touch on, which was the difference. Do you find your purpose or do you define your purpose? Nakeia, what would you say?
I think it could go either way, honestly. I think it could find you, right? Sometimes we're doing things and we don't know that's what we're supposed to be doing. A lot of that happens at NFTE, right? So, I mean, before coming to NFTE, I started as a NFTE teacher, but now I'm here, right? And so then that led me to It's Blackademic and wanting to do that. So I think sometimes it can find you. You just have to kind of be open to what's out there and kind of listening to what feeds your soul. And I think that's the way a lot of our students need to go, especially like in the times that we're in right now with unemployment being the way it is. Somebody on this call might be sitting, with the next $1 billion idea, but maybe too afraid to execute and just kind of reach for it because a lot of us suffer from imposter syndrome where we don't really think that we are worthy of what's next or what could be. So I think that's definitely a good way to look at it.
Thomas, insights from you.
Yeah, I agree with Nakeia. Again, I think it can be either or, but I think one could tie into the other, right? So you can find your purpose, and then once you find it, define it, right? If that makes sense. You can find it and then define it along the journey. But I think the important thing is also to keep in mind is your mindset when you're going through this process. Having an open and positive mindset to, like, literally what both of these ladies are saying, going through, learning as you go, surrounding yourself with the right people. So, if you want to be a writer, surround yourself with other writers. If you want to be a doctor, surround yourself with other doctors. Surround yourself with a community and a tribe of people that will give you honest and constructive feedback, but also understand that you're building this out. And I think when it comes to understanding and defining your purpose, it literally is just that you try it, you go through it. It may be something like, for me, I didn't know I was going to be sitting in subways. I thought I was going to be working at Apple for probably for the rest of my life. I was there 8 years, and it ended up being a total whirlwind. It ended up switching because I found my purpose, and I felt like my purpose was connection. So I think that is exactly, what Nakeia was saying, and I agree with that.
Awesome. Taj?
I agree with both guests. I think that everyone was created for one purpose, or maybe many, but let's talk about one purpose. I think you were created to do something and bring something to the world that will be a legacy that you'll be known for. And I think it's up to you, our responsibility individually to find out what that purpose is and make sure that we live the rest of our lives being dedicated to what that purpose is. And some people's purpose, everyone's purpose looks different. It may not be a business. It may just be you're the person who, whenever someone's feeling down, like you're that person that can just give them a word of encouragement or a bright smile, and you're just known for brightening up people's day. So everyone's purpose is different. So it's our responsibility, like I said, to find out what that is and execute it.
Awesome.
Monetize if you can. Sorry.
One more time, I'm sorry.
And monetize for sure if you can. So anything can be turned into a business.
So I was going to ask a last question, but I really want to kind of get into that, right? Because a lot of the times people don't realize how many different things can be monetized. So would you say that anything can be monetized?
For sure. For sure. Like I said, you may be a person with words. Start making cards. You go to Walgreens and Walmart and you look in their card section, and it's not that hard. You're giving a card to people to make their day better and brighter, no matter what situation they may be going through or what occasion they're celebrating. So I for sure think everything can be turned into a business.
And obviously, Thomas, you've already proven that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Yeah, I was going to say 100%. Yeah, I believe anything can be monetized. The thing to keep in mind when you're monetizing something or building something out is you just have to introduce it to the marketplace and do a little bit of research, right? So for me, with the bow ties I make, they're not cloth bow ties. The price point, looking at what the price point looks like for bow ties that are cloth, I had to figure out what was the best price point for our bow ties to be able to make a profit, right? In addition to that, understanding that when you add it to the marketplace, if someone buys a couple or if someone buys a lot, that gives you insight, that gives you information, that gives you research. So you use that to continue to build out whatever you're trying to monetize. So I would say, depending on what it is, you just have to put it out there in the avenues and places that you can get information from, you can get research from, and then you can build it out from there.
Nakeia, would you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, I agree. Anything can be monetized. As long as you add value and people see the need for it, go for it, right? That's why we have everything from dollar stores to Neiman Marcus, because anything can be monetized.
Awesome. And then, as we're kind of wrapping up, I'm going to give the students and open the floor up to the students to ask some questions as well. Do you have any resources, websites, tools that you believe may be helpful for the students as they're going through the process of figuring their idea, determining the opportunity, and then designing their business? Nakeia is up first.
Okay. I wish I had brought it down. I actually have a book, and I'll send the name to you, Daniel and Tahaji, of the name of that book that I used, and it allowed me to sketch out what I was thinking and like jot down different ideas, and I feel so stupid for not having it. But it was a way, because I am definitely like a visual person. I need to see what it looks like. I need to talk it out. If I'm hosting an event, I'm drawing the blueprint by hand, right? So that was a book that really kind of helped me just see how to connect the dots between step one to what the final event looks like and what the customer experience is like as well. And just being very specific with who my target demographic is, like I can define it to a T. And that's very important for our students. So anytime you could learn about marketing use Google, YouTube. I mean, there's so many resources out there. I mean, when I started, I literally was Googling how to start a trivia company, right? And then there's articles on articles on articles, and then there's videos, and then I found someone on YouTube, reached out to them. They became my mentor. So, you know, I talked to him about once a month about what I'm going. He's in California. I've never met him in person, but a lot of his insight has really helped me to move forward. So I would say seek mentorship when you know you need it. Be forthright with what you want to do. And I think that that's the best way. Like, just research it. You start to live, eat, and breathe whatever your idea is. I mean, that's just go for it.
Awesome. Taj.
So I think you have to be firm in whatever it is that you're planting your business. I think you cannot be swayed. I know social media is really big. So don't ever look at social media and start the comparing process and thinking that success is an overnight thing, because it's not. When you Google Coca-Cola and Pepsi and let's say a fashion brand such as Liz Claiborne, you'll see that these businesses took years and decades to really, really, really be successful in a household name. So don't be swayed in any way by what you may see. Because sometimes those companies, they last, but most times they're overnight successes, right? So like Nakeia said, a pen and paper was like my best thing, my best friend. I would write down all types of ideas. Anytime I got an idea, now I put them in my phone as well, my notes, but I really like to put the pen to the paper. And I keep a notepad by my, in my bag, in my book bag that I carry sometimes by my bed, because whenever you get that ideal, you may not use it in that month, that year, that day, but it may be something that you come back 2 years later and you're like, you know what, I can implement this with my business, or let's go for this. Also, I'm just like, I don't have any per se books or any particular podcasts or anything. I'm just, I'm thirsty for knowledge. So I would Google my industry, what it is that I'm trying to do. And like Nakeia said, there are going to be tons of books, tons of articles. You just have to be a student of your business and what it is that you want to do. And I promise you, if you go looking for it, it's going to come. You're going to find yourself being surrounded by certain people in that industry when you find that you've been really, really headstrong, that you stay committed to your purpose. People are just going to start gravitating towards you as well. You're going to attract a certain energy. But yeah, just writing down everything. Google. I mean, Google is going to be like your best friend. Listen to podcasts. Follow people who reflect what it is that you want to do. Positive people. You're going to have to let some people go if it doesn't reflect where you're going and where you want to go. You're not going to want to wake up and look at those people all day long. Look at positive people that are really making an impact in the industry that you're going in, business-wise in general.
See, and I love the fact that you spoke about the notebooks, because I have like 80 notebooks all over the house. Like anywhere that I can sit down, there's probably a notebook within arm's reach, you know, and I'll go into the dollar store and pick up 2 more just because I need more. You know, but over time you look back at some of your notes and you're like, oh, there's a gem here that I can take. So I get it. I understand the addiction to the notebooks.
Yeah, I was in the industry, of course, but I just launched South Florida Fashion Academy in June of 2019. But I have books dated back 5 years ago on things that I wanted to do with the academy. So like I said, you may not use it right then and there that year, the next year, but I guarantee you, if you write and it was vital things that I used when making my business plan, etc. And it was years old.
Yep. Thomas, anything you want to share there with the students that you think would be helpful for them on their journey?
Yeah, there's a lot. What both of these ladies said, that spot on again. Y'all making it easy for me. I ain't even got to say much. Thank you, ladies. But just to piggyback off of that, I think another thing to realize when you do write things down is 2 things. One, it gives you an opportunity to look back at your growth, right? So when you write down an idea, and maybe you add to it as you go along, and then you try it out. That's one way of utilizing it. But it's also when you do try that idea and it may not go the way you want, or it may go the way you want, jotting down, journaling what that experience is like, and then going back to it several weeks, months later, you'll see the growth that you had over that time. And that's another great reason to make sure you write, you jot down those notes into a book. Another thing is, of course, the book I would recommend is, Start With Why, or Finding Your Why by Simon Sinek. I think he gives just a great breakdown on understanding the importance of why, not only from a specific or business standpoint, but even when it comes to anything that you're doing in life. So I would definitely suggest those books to check out. The Shark Tanks, like one thing that I do is I watch Shark Tank. I watch a show also on NBC called The Prophet by the gentleman that does that is Marcus Lemonis. And I literally sit there with a notebook, and when certain definitions pop up, I write them in my book, and then I go and research them later. So I would definitely suggest, doing that as well, as you continue to build whatever it is that you're trying to build, because there are a lot of hidden gems there where sometimes when we're watching TV, we're looking at it from a different perspective. But I would say just have a book there next to you. And a lot of times what they do with Shark Tank is they'll give you the definition, like literally at the bottom of the screen, they'll have the definition of what they're breaking down, because they know there are other business, perspective prospects watching and things like that. So I would definitely say do that as well. And like I said, all the things that Taj and Nakeia shared, I think spot on.
Awesome. Now, I do have a couple of questions in the chat. One came from Hillary, and she was wondering, how do you find mentors? And I think Nakeia spoke amazingly to that. So I'll kind of let you tee up and be the first one to kind of speak to that question.
If you see someone, if you come in contact with someone that you think could really help you on your path, just reach out. Like, the worst thing that could happen, and you'll learn this in entrepreneurship over and over, the worst thing that could happen is a no, right? But you find another door, you knock on another door, it could be a yes. You can hit 100 no's before you hit yes. And that's okay, because eventually you'll come in contact with the right person. I just say, like, be bold. Last night I hit up somebody on Instagram, one of my favorite singers who is doing something similar to what I do and trying to figure out if we could partner. And he actually replied, right? So to me, I'm on cloud 9. It was something very small. And I just, just jump out there. There are always people who are willing to help. You just have to find those right people. I mean, and even when you come in contact, don't take the nifty experience for granted. There are always people here who are willing to mentor you, who are willing to reach out. I mean, if you find a connection with Tahaji or Daniel and you think that there's someone who could really help you or encourage you to move on, that's just the way to go. Like, do not burn any bridges, right? Just always be open to new contacts and new connections. I think Taj touched on it earlier. Networking, where there's an event where you can meet other people, you just never know who's in the room. So, like, that's my biggest thing. Network, be bold, reach out, and learn from the people that you're with.
I just want to interject and say something really quickly. This is Taji. I met Thomas I DM'd him on Facebook 5 years ago. That's how I met Thomas. I saw his story, thought it was cool. I was writing something for my own business, for my blog, and I just DM'd him. That was 5 years ago. So we've been friends and connected ever since. So what everyone said, that is on point. Like, you never know where that could lead.
Yeah, I just added Thomas on Insta. I'm gonna wait for the follow back. So
my phone is in the room. I'm sorry.
I'm adding him on LinkedIn when we're all said and done, man. You're about to expand a little bit more, just a tad bit. But as long as you've got the floor, what do you have to share as far as insights about how do you find mentors?
Yes, I think it's exactly like what Nakeia was saying, exactly that. But I also think too, we lose sight on how powerful our phones and our devices are. And when you choose who you follow, right? Just like you guys said, we're all connecting now because of this and the importance of what we're building out. But it's up to me to follow someone who is in my industry or connect with someone who's in my industry rather than following someone who may not be doing something that I want to do, right? So it's important to always kind of utilize your technology, utilize the ability of what you have to connect with people, like-minded people. And I would say the same. Like for me, when my bow ties, I got them into a magazine. I just reached out to the magazine on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I see you guys are doing this holiday gift guide. You don't have any bow ties. Would you be interested in doing a piece on our bow ties? And they end up doing a piece, and now the owner is like one of our biggest clients. So you literally like have to reach out, give yourself the ability to try, just try it. My thing is, whenever someone tells me no, I always ask them a follow-up question. So I'll be like, well, do you know someone who may be in that industry? Do you know someone? Do you suggest someone I connect with? Do you suggest someone I call? You know, what do you suggest? Because they've all been in that similar situation where they started out. So I think it's very important to have that mindset when you're going into it as well.
Awesome. Now, Taj, this is literally like the heart of why you do what you do, right? It's about connecting young people to the resources that you wish you had when you were their age. So share with us, how would a young person go about finding a mentor?
Like I said, research. You're gonna research your industry. You're gonna research who's locally, and sometimes your mentor may not be local, but who's doing exactly what it is, or somewhat what it is that you want to do. And like Nakeia said, you may hear no. You're gonna follow them on every social media site that you can find, any podcast that they have. Be active. Engage with them online as well. So everyone who potentially or mentorship, I'm sure 98% of them will say that they love genuine connections. So no one wants to be your mentor if they feel like you're just in their inbox, you haven't engaged with them, you haven't liked, you don't even follow them. You're just like, it just seems like you rolled over and like, hey, let me just try it. So the more you like, we look at our likes, we look at who comments. So get on their page, follow them, like their comments, like their posts, etc. So do your research. You have to be relentless in your approach. So you're gonna hear no's, you're gonna hear, I don't think so, whatever, I'll get back to you. But stay relentless because one day, I promise you, it will pay off. And also just go to different events. They have numerous events. Stay connected to people from NFTE, and also like they'll tell you when there are other events. You meet people. I see a lot of people on here now, so stay connected with some of these people as well, and they'll tell you about what event they're going to and what they heard about it, what such and such is offering, and so forth. So when you go to those events, most times business owners, they want to mentor. They believe in reaching back and pulling up the next generation. So you're probably going to hear a lot of yeses. If you hear no's, just don't take it personal. They're probably just overwhelmed. They probably already have other mentees. So don't take it personal. Don't let that get you off track as well.
Awesome. Now, I have Hillary again, who also was asking, do you have any advice for people that are venturing into fields with a lot of competition?
What makes you different? So you study the market. It's saturated, but what makes you different? How are you going to stand out in this overly saturated market? Sometimes it's just your personality as well. It's a million people, let's say, selling t-shirts, but I really like Tahaji's approach. I really like the way she's super motivated. I really like the way that she interacts and she just goes out and she gives back to her community, etc. So I'm gonna just purchase her shirts over the other 1 million other vendors or designers that are doing the same thing. So sometimes it's your personality, sometimes it's just a key thing. They love the way your packaging looks, etc. So they love the way you follow up and you email them. You make them feel so important after they purchase one of your products. So study the market, and that's where your homework is going to come in at, and then identify what makes you uniquely different and why people are going to want to spend their hard-earned money with you versus everyone else.
That is an amazing answer. Nakeia.
I agree with everything that Taj has to say. And I think what makes you different is so important in finding your niche market, right? So many times we see nifty students put everybody as their demographic. Like, who? That's not true. Everybody is not your customer, and that's okay. Find out who your customer is. Really work on what they like. One of my favorite t-shirt brands is called Fly Nerd, because like I feel like that's me. Like, I know I'm a nerd in many things, and I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. And so she knows that there are other people who believe, you know, in being a fly nerd, and like, though, that's her target market. She knows exactly who they are, and her shirts sell out. Why? Because they go back, they find something that's personal to them. It's not enough to just be a white t-shirt company anymore. Like back in the day, that could fly, white t-shirts all day. But now, like, people are looking for something that represents them. So make sure that you're tapping into whoever you're trying to represent, whoever you know your customer is going to be, because they're going to be the ones who buy and support, talk about you, repost you, you know, buy gifts for friends. Like, know who they are and just focus on them. Focus on identifying what they need.
Thomas, you chose to do two different businesses. I want to speak specifically to the fact that you did bow ties, but you did bow ties in a very different way, and go.
Yeah, so I actually was gonna, if I had to choose one business, I was gonna talk to the bow tie business in this one, because when I first started making bow ties, I did my research, and like I said a little bit earlier, I was focused more so on understanding price point. But I thought a lot of people would like my bow ties because they're cool, they're unique. So then what I was doing is I was reaching out to, I thought were bow tie enthusiasts, thinking that they would love every bow tie, and they would give me feedback and be like, hey man, I like my bow ties to be fabric, or I like to tie my bow ties, and it taught me a valuable lesson. You know, just like Nakeia was saying, is understand my customer. So throughout my research and my time doing this, and I'm going on 4 years, a lot of it has been understand that my customer is the quirky, is the unique. It's the person that's wearing the bright color suit. It's not the typical bow tie enthusiast. And for me, when I first started, I was reaching out to those types of people, and they were like, nah, bro, this is not, that type of thing doesn't work for me. So I would definitely say understanding your market. Also, you know, like we were saying earlier, and just to piggyback, continue. You never know what someone's gonna say, because I've had bow tie enthusiasts say, hey, I'm not really gonna wear something like that, but I know someone in my circle who would, and they would connect me with that person. So just all about just being open-minded. I say stay in discovery mode. You know, when you put your phone in discovery mode, when it's looking to connect with things, kind of have that mindset. Be in discovery mode all the time, and be okay with someone being like, hey, this doesn't really work for me, and asking that question, like, well, do you know anybody, and so on. So I would definitely say that.
And I wanted to, because Ms. Brown asked if we could just describe define what the word niche means.
Yeah, I would say niche is specific to I guess a specific industry or a specific piece. So for instance, like my bow ties are not your normal or average bow tie, right? It's not something that everybody's gonna wear. I know that it's a niche product. It's not something that the masses are gonna buy, because everybody's not in that particular market. Everybody's not in the market for that. People are used to seeing a specific type of bow tie. So for me, my product is niche because it's not something that anybody would not just anybody would buy, and that's niche more so specifically for me.
Awesome. And Taj, the first question was regarding crowded industry. How do you differentiate yourself? And then do you want to talk about niche as well, as long as you're there?
Yeah, so just like what Thomas said, your niche is what makes you different. Who are you catering to, for instance? And I think that also makes your process so much easier when you identify who it is that you're wanting to cater to, what demographics, what age group, where do they live, how much money do they make, etc. So that's going to be key, even in price points. So, you know, certain areas you're not going to be able to charge a certain amount of dollars, even age group, because more than likely they're not working and they're going to depend on their parents. So all of those things play a vital role into defining your niche and your demographics, etc. I know that it would drive you crazy. Like, it's impossible for you to cater to everyone, because everyone doesn't like the same exact things. So you have to eliminate and find out who exactly it is that you want to cater to. And I promise you, your life will be so much easier. It just makes it better, your language, even when you're posting, because you know who your demographics are. So you may get away with a little, a little slang or something like that, because they like that about your brand. It's like, I feel like I'm talking to my homegirl, etc. Or you may have a demographic who is like, like your punctuation needs to be on point, etc., etc. Like maybe I need to hire someone to read this again to make sure before I post it that it's grammatically correct, etc. So that's important in knowing who your demographic is. I cater to, I don't turn anyone around with South Florida Fashion Academy, but I know it's vital for minority girls and boys to get into the industry. And I want it to be that entryway for them to enter into the industry. So I know exactly who my demographics are. I know where I'm going, what schools I'm going to pass out flyers, and what career days that I'm really booking on my calendar, because I know those are the people that find my business to be vital. They're going to feel like they could learn something from me. I look like them. So, I'm just like that person to them as well.
Awesome. Thomas, there is a question here specific for you. What is your most unique bow tie?
Oh man, there's so many. It's an interesting question, because if you go on our social media and on our website, we currently only sell bow ties that are made out of Scrabble. We're actually releasing a program in the next month or so, which is an artist design program. So it gives artists the ability to create bow ties that are like this. And I have some here just to I'll show you guys some. So this is another one the artist made, and they're just all different, cool designs, and they're different. None of them are the same, right? So, I literally reached out to artists. I reached out to about 20 artists here in Philadelphia and in New York, and I just asked them. I said, hey, I'm looking to create this program. Can I give you a bow tie design? If you like it, you can join the program. If not, totally understand. Do you know someone who may? And we've signed several artists because of it. So this program is going to be coming out, like I said, in a month or so. And it's all about just being creative. The collection is actually going to be called the Be Creative Collection. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And I love that. So I will say this. If you have to go now, then we will consider this the official end of the of today's virtual speaker series. I do want to say that I really do appreciate all of our guests, Mr. Thomas Knox, Ms. Nakeia Jones, Ms. Taj McGill. Without you, none of the work that we do at NFTE would be possible. And that's not like hyperbole. That's a true statement, right? Both Tahaji and I started as volunteers. And so we understand, like, this is literally, without you, this program doesn't have the same impact. I do have another question, however, that I do want to kind of go into. So if you have a few minutes to hang out and just chat, we can just make this a talk now and incorporate questions coming from students and the teachers. If you're 5-10 minutes.
Absolutely, I'm good.
Awesome. I have Kimberly, who has asked, what are your next steps in business and in life?
That's a full question right there.
We might need another hour to do that one. Taj, you get to go first.
Okay. My next steps in business, of course, I want to continue to expand. I don't want to ever be complacent. So right now we're in Florida. So my goal is to have different academies in multiple states. But next year, at the top of next year, we'll also be opening South Florida Beauty Academy. So I'm super excited about that, where you can come and get your state license in cosmetology, barbering, makeup, etc. So in my next steps in life, I'm just riding the wave. The pandemic has shown me that in just my whole belief and faith, that you don't really get to decide how things pan out. You just have to be prepared and just do the work, and whenever it comes, it comes. So my next steps in life, I just want to continue to build my legacy so I can leave it for my kids, of course, and their kids and their kids. So I'm all about creating generational wealth. And I also just want to be an overall good person. So when I look back in my at my life, I want to be able to see that I've impacted numerous of people, that I spread love where I went, and I offered a smile, and I made someone's day a little better.
Awesome. And one of the teachers did ask, is your program a charter school or post-secondary?
No, correct. We meet every Saturday from 10 to 3 p.m. So it's not a school yet, but that is on my to-do list to get it into one of the schools. But yeah, right now we're meeting on Saturdays.
And Miss DeToria was asking, do you guys have social media? So if you would like, please put your social media handles in the chat so that they can, connect and become fans of the work that you do. Kimberly had also asked in this, sorry, Thomas. I was gonna go to her next question. Next steps.
There's so much. Do so much. So the two things that I'm working on right now, that one is the artist design program. So we're focused on releasing that in a month or so with Be Great Bow Ties. As far as Date While You Wait, I'm actually working on a show. So I've signed with a production company, and we're going to be putting out a show, literally sharing the conversations that I have with people, so we can help inspire and encourage people that are, or viewers that are watching the show. So the whole idea is to really focus on finding ways to create relatable conversations and use it to help inspire. So that's something that I'm working on as well. And then I'm coming out, I have another company, but I'm coming out with a book club for young men of color, because I don't see enough book clubs out there for us. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dissecting the book Letters to a Young Brother by Hill Harper. And what we'll be doing is every single week we'll go through the book and talk through some of the letters that young men have written him, and discuss some of the insights there. Every student that signs up for it, or any young man that signs up for it, gets the book for free. So I'll mail them a copy of the book, and we'll jump on Zoom and have a deeper dive conversation around some of the insights there. So those are some of the things that I'm working on, but there's always things.
Always, the entrepreneur's mind never stops running.
Always.
Nakeia, talk to me. What's up next for all of it,
So I don't know. Like, I know, but I don't know. Like, every day is a new day. I actually didn't do any virtual trivia before COVID-19, and we had all these events planned for the spring and summer, and we had to figure out how do we still keep people's attention while all of this is going on and we can't do our traditional in-person events. So that led us to virtual trivia. And before, our base was mainly like the Baltimore, DC area. Now we have people playing every week from over 27 states, right? So now that gears us to next summer and really figuring out how do we, at a high level, execute a tour in different cities in order to still stay engaged with those people who are all over the country. So that is really what we're up to. We're going to be rolling out some new events, hopefully in the fall. We have a Coming to America trivia. We've had Martin trivia in the past that's been very successful. So we're just gearing up, bringing people what they love. We know that our target demographic are usually educated African Americans between the ages of like 25 and 50. They don't really want to go to the club, but they still want to have a good time. And so that's what we've been able to really bring. And so we're just hoping to have success with duplicating it in other places. And then maybe a game show, we don't know.
The future is bright is what you're saying. Right. There are a lot more messages in the chat, but this one I really do want to get to. It's Kimberly again, and her question is, what are some things that almost stopped you from creating your business, and what made you continue? Nakeia. Sorry. Go ahead, Thomas.
I could definitely dive into that. So it kind of gets me emotional when I think about it, because I started out, like I said earlier, I was working for Apple for 7 years, I had my own apartment. I had my own car. I was not in debt. And then I created this thing, Date While You Wait. And it transitioned me into my purpose. So then I ended up leaving Apple, ended up getting rid of my car, ended up moving in with my parents to focus on building my business. Now, I didn't just move with my parents just to do it. I had a conversation with them and I said, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. And it ended up working out. But yes, I was at a point where I was like, I could easily go back to Apple, have the security of working a 9 to 5. You know, I did business support for them, and I can't do it because it's not my purpose. You know, I'm really, really deeply into creating these connections for people in these initiatives. So yeah, I could definitely was a challenge, but I'm happy I am where I am.
Awesome. Taj.
Oh my goodness, a lot of like Thomas said, I moved in with my sister. I had got fired from my job. So I knew that I never wanted to place my future in anyone else's hands. I wanted to be the orchestrator of my destiny. So I moved in with my sister. It was quite uncomfortable, but for that year, I used all of my money that I had saved up, and I just went for it. I thought money was going to be like the determining factor. I'm like, how in the world am I going to have a physical location for this school? Like, I'm not even working. Like, I got a little something saved up, but I promise you, like, people just started pouring into my life. They're like, what, you're starting this, here's money for that, here's this, and let me come and help you, because they believed also in what it was that I was doing. So it looked funny for a minute. It was definitely uncomfortable, but I went ahead and I just did it. And I've always been pretty relentless. So I took my pain, I took everything that I've been through, I took what I prayed about, I took just what I wanted my future to be. And I'm like, nothing is going to deter me from obtaining this goal. And I just went for it.
Awesome. Nakeia.
Something that would have stopped me in my tracks if I didn't talk to other people was really thinking that Black people didn't like trivia. Like, that'd have been the end all, be all. The business would have been a wrap. I wouldn't have done anything else. Also, like, shout out to Taj because, and Thomas, I'm still in the have a 9 to 5 phase. Through the entrepreneurial mindset domains, I know that one of my strengths is not comfort with risk, right? So I still have to maintain my everyday nifty job because there's just some things I'm not comfortable with. But that's okay because I work from nifty 9 to 5, and then 5 o'clock, it's Blackademic time. I get really upset sometimes when, people schedule meetings after work hours because I'm like, my productivity time of my business, it's something that eventually will be able to create a legacy for me and my family. But it's just really important to make sure that you're focused on what it is that you want to do and just going forth right. And I believe both Thomas and Taj's points are very sound in that.
And Samuel, go ahead.
Yeah, even when you're going to school, if you have a great ideal now and you're really trying to nurture that. So during school hours, of course, you'll focus on school. You come home or you go do your extracurricular activities, and you put aside an hour or two at night and dedicate it to your business, your craft, etc. And even when you get older, and if you want to go to college or if you don't want to go to college, and if you're going to college, you follow that same routine, or if you happen to end up in the workforce, you're going to work your normal hours, and you make sure before you lay your head down that you do some work on the behalf of your company and your brand and your business. For years, that's what it looked like for me. I would go to work, pick up my daughters, help with homework, and then I'm dedicating some hours because I just knew what that looked like for me if I really cultivated my craft and really paid attention to what it is that I wanted to do at night before I would not go to sleep unless I did some work for me.
Okay.
Awesome. Samuel.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
So with me, when I decided to leave Apple, it was a very tough decision for me. But what I realized is before I made that leap, I needed to have a plan. And in the plan I had, I thought it was a great plan, and it totally didn't work out. It totally like crashed on me. So then my first like 6 months, I was doing really well. I was traveling the world, doing speaking engagements, talking to students at different universities. I did Day YU8 in France. I did it in Canada. It was great. And then the well started to dry up because I didn't prepare. I didn't forecast correctly, right? So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because you can make a plan, it doesn't work out, you just have to recalibrate. And it was important for me to go ahead and recalibrate that and build from there. And now I'm in a different place, but it took some time for me to get to where I am now rather than me jumping out the gate and it working out perfectly.
That's great insight, right? And Tuesday, I almost wanted to say Monday. Tuesday, we were talking about pivoting, right? Like just you start. Everybody starts a business with a set of assumptions, and somewhere along the way, one of those assumptions don't work out in the real world, and you have to make a decision about how do you adjust to real world conditions that are different from the assumptions that you made. So that's very important, and I love the fact that you brought that up, because I think every entrepreneur understands that a pivot is you can't be an entrepreneur without pivoting some point in your process. Like it never works out the way that you plan it in your head or on paper when you actually get into the real world. Nakeia, Samuel was wondering, how do you make a profit?
And this could be the last question, Daniel.
All right.
So that's a good question. So I've had to pivot in my business. Originally, we were partnering with Black-owned restaurants around Baltimore. And so they were paying me directly to provide the service. And so our original mission was to get patrons into restaurants on nights where it's usually slow. So like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where people aren't really eating out as much, give them something to do so they would want to come out. We found early on that model wasn't really working for us. We were getting people to come out, but what was happening was people were coming out for trivia and not so much to eat. So the restaurants weren't really getting their bang for the buck, which was great for us. So then we knew then that we had a really good product that people were, coming out for. So we then pivoted to now we sell ticketed events. So we do ticketed pop-up events. It usually ranges from $40 to $60 a ticket. People come out, they win prizes, they can play on teams, they can play individually, they can buy whole tables. And so that's how we've been able to make a profit.
Awesome. Like I said, thank you so very much all. Taj, Thomas, Nakeia, always a pleasure. By all means, just so you know, I will be sending you the video recap of all of this. We're going to load this up to YouTube, so you'll have it available to watch in the future. Thank you so very much for joining us and hanging out with us. To all of the students, I hope that there was something of value that you were able to take from what our guests and our experts shared with you today. By all means, if you have any questions, all of them have made their social media available in the chat. Make sure that you actually connect with them.
I just want to say something real quick, Daniel, when you're done.
Pardon me?
Oh, when you're done?
Sure. Yeah. Just know that everybody that we bring on is passionate about helping young people. So if there is a way that they can assist, be respectful of their time and mindful of the time that the fact that they have a lot of things to do, but I'm sure that they'll be willing to share insights that can also help you to move forward. Tahaji.
Now, just quickly, just super thank you to Taj and Nakeia and Thomas. I mean, you guys know how I feel about all three of you, so just thank you so much. This was amazing. I hope the students enjoyed it as much as I did personally. I found out things about you guys I didn't even know. So just extra thank you to all three of you, really, for coming on. This was amazing.
So, that's it, man. Y'all have an amazing Thursday. It's almost the weekend. I like to think of it as pre-weekend. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Have a blessed day. We will see you all, students, sometime tomorrow for Fast Pick Fridays. Other than that, y'all have a great day. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. God bless. Bye.